theme park owners did experimental work. Maybe only the worst ones here.
Even though I've been massively disappointed by the last few Jurassic World movies, I will always go see these films in theaters because Jurassic Park is very near and dear to my heart, and I want it to be excellent. I want it to be great, or at least want it to be a fun time. One of my first memories of just consciousness as a human being is seeing the original Jurassic Park in theaters. It was the first movie I ever saw in the theater. I was like 4 years old, still not sure why my parents thought it was okay to take a 4-year-old to Jurassic Park and see people get ripped apart by raptors, but I thank them to this day for that because it had a profound impact on me. And I think my impact on loving dinosaurs, monsters, Godzilla, horror, I think it all, a lot of it really started from that moment. So I've seen every Jurassic Park movie in theater throughout the course of my life. And it's weird to kind of like go back and pinpoint, bookmark certain points of my life by Jurassic Park releases. It's strange when you've seen an entire franchise in the theater from the beginning and grown up along the way. So with the last two movies, I was massively disappointed with Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. I just am not a real big fan of the Jurassic World segment of the franchise. Obviously, I love the first one. I love the second one. The third one's kind of a guilty pleasure. The first Jurassic World I was okay with. But then the last two just completely destroyed my hopes and dreams. But with the seventh film that's titled Jurassic World Rebirth, here we have Gareth Edwards as the director. And this is the guy that directed Godzilla 2014, the first film in the Monsterverse. And I'm also a massive Godzilla fan. He also directed Rogue One, some other good movies, but for me, like, Godzilla is the biggest deal. And although I have a lot of personal gripes and criticisms with that movie, I do forever appreciate Gareth Edwards bringing Godzilla back into the mainstream and reestablishing that character after 10 years of not having Godzilla movies. And the one thing that I appreciate the most about Godzilla 2014 is the sense of scope and scale. He really makes the monsters feel massive. He makes them feel like they have weight. The way that they move, the way that they interact really feels like a creature that is that gigantic. So him having the reins to a Jurassic Park film, that got me the most hyped about it because this guy knows how to handle giant creatures that are coming after people. So that was a stroke of good luck in my opinion. And if nothing else, I just wanted this movie to have great dinosaur sequences. I was like, I understand we're never going to recapture the magic of the original. That was a lightning in the bottle moment where there was a significant change happening in special effects, in digital effects, CGI, the mix of practical with CGI, what they were able to do at the time. No one ever seen anything like that before. You just can't recapture that. On the flip side of that, though, that doesn't mean that these movies can't be interesting, engaging, thought-provoking, and deal with the same kind of concepts and questions as the original, because beyond just dinosaur sequences, the original Jurassic Park is very much about the ethics of what the characters are doing and how a lot of things are skirted under the rug so that we don't have to care about the finer details. All we want is the end product to profit off of. And in a bizarre, twisted fate kind of way, that's kind of where the Jurassic World movies have landed in present day, where it really just feels like we patented it, we pressed it, we pushed it out to the audience, and now we're selling it. We're selling it.
Before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You're going to sell it.
And unfortunately, even though I had my hope and faith in Gareth Edwards, I am a bit disappointed with the end result. Now, this is not the worst movie in the Jurassic World franchise. I still think the last two were much, much, much worse, but this one ranks just above those for me personally. There are some great sequences in this movie, and we'll get into it a little bit. I'm going to try not to give spoilers, but there's not really a whole lot to spoil to begin with. The trailers basically give away the entire premise. But what you basically have here is a world where some dinosaurs do exist, but most of them have located themselves close to the equator because that is the type of environment where they're most likely to thrive and procreate. In other areas of the world, they can't really exist. And we're still dealing with the idea that a lot of people are bored by dinosaurs and they don't really care about them anymore, which is just absurd to me. That's something that the other Jurassic World movies tried to do also, but it's like, would you ever not be interested in dinosaurs? Like, people are interested in seeing videos of like crocodiles and lions and Komodo dragons. Like, you really think in a world where dinosaurs exist that people as a collective whole would just decide, we don't really give a shit anymore? Crazy. I don't know. Maybe. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, so maybe dinosaurs wouldn't be a big deal. But essentially what has happened here is that there is this island that has never been talked about before, where they did the most dangerous experiments, and they were doing this genetic modification, sort of similar to the Indominus Rex from the first Jurassic World movie, where they're plugging in all this DNA together and creating a new organism, a new living creature, which is, again, something that I felt like it took away from the original Jurassic Park. At the end of the day, they all are genetic creations. Like, the dinosaurs that exist in Jurassic Park aren't exactly like, you know, historically accurate dinosaurs to begin with. They're all made in a laboratory, so I get that. But at the same time, like, dinosaurs are cool enough on their own. Like, we don't necessarily need to create a new mutation. Having said that, though, they do create a variety of different sort of spliced together dinosaurs here, but really only one that's focused on, but unfortunately not for a lot of the runtime. So on this dangerous island, there is potential in some of the dinosaur DNA that if they are able to gather it, this pharmaceutical company wants to use it for a way to develop a cure for heart disease and all of this kind. I don't know. Does it really matter? A greedy corporate entity wants to go onto the island illegally and take some dinosaur DNA. That's basically it. And to do so, they have a character that's basically like Burke from Aliens. You know, he's an asshole the entire way. And he hires a team of extractors, mercenaries. So we got Mahershala Ali, you got Scarlett Johansson, you have their team. And they all kind of gather together with the dinosaur scientist character and go to hopefully extract this DNA without anything bad happening. But guess what? Bad things happen. It's a decent enough premise. I mean, at this point, this far into the continuity, how are you going to get people onto this island? So I do like that the team has an objective to accomplish, where they're not just wandering around on this island aimlessly. They're going to their particular targets, trying to collect the DNA, and then hopefully getting off the island after that. My main problem with this whole group of characters, though, is that from the very get-go, you know, number one, exactly who's going to live and exactly who's going to die. There's no surprises whatsoever. There's no twist. There's no character death that's shocking. You pretty much have the main characters, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but it's extremely noticeable as soon as you start watching the movie, where you have like 2 or 3 of the main cast that get their backstories explained, have scenes of them having more intimate dialogue on the way to the island, and they're the characters that it's focusing on, and all the others are just kind of there. So, like, you know exactly from moment one which characters are going to die and which characters aren't. So that takes a lot of the suspense out of the movie for me, as well as the characters that we do get that are expanded upon. It really feels like they're trying very, very hard for you to care about them. And I would say, like, Mahershala Ali's character, I cared about him the most, and I think he brought the most subtlety to his character when it came to his motivation, even though his motivation is, like, very, very simple. I think he performed it the best. Scarlett Johansson, she's fine, you know what I mean? But she still feels like she's just playing Scarlett Johansson. And then the other characters are very much like, you know, you have the asshole businessman, you have the ship crew, and you know which characters are going to be taken out immediately. On top of that, you get the introduction of this family that is sailing this boat that capsizes and gets kind of tangled up with our crew. But this family of characters, oh my God, they were the worst. But this family of characters really feels like they were just inserted into this movie so that we would have some children characters. It's really like 2 teenagers and 1 little girl and their dad. But every Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie has had some child character ever since the beginning. It's a trope that the entire franchise has kept with, that I don't necessarily think that they need to keep with, but for some reason they do. Maybe they think it just, you know, kids are going to come see the movie and they'll relate to those characters better or more. I don't know what the reason is, but they've always done it. And I felt, I was hoping this would be the movie that we didn't have to do it. You know, this would be the movie we just focused on this team of mercenaries. They got their goal. They got their objective. They're a little bit unprepared, but they're not, you know, I mean, we do have some scientists, but like they're mostly competent, capable, we'll see how they handle the situation. But nope, then we got to interject this family, and I didn't care about any of them really. I mean, there's a moment early on where I kind of did, but then after seeing how the father character acts throughout the course of the movie, I just started caring less and less. And those are the characters that I wanted to see something just one casualty out of them. You know, give me something. And they get separated from the main group. And so we have these two storylines that are going on at the same time. We have the extractor storyline, then we have the family storyline. And because it keeps switching back and forth between both of them, we don't really get enough meat to chew on, no pun intended, of the characters themselves. And they wind up feeling way more one-dimensional than I think they could have been. I think that you could have... There's something there, like with the scientist character, with Mahershala Ali's character. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but you know what I mean. Like, there's something there with those characters you could expand upon more. The one greedy pharmaceutical guy that reminded me of Burke from Aliens. You know, there's more that we could have done with him too. There's an interesting development that happens on the boat right before it crashes on the island that they could have done more with. They could have explored that a little bit more. But they don't really go all the way with it. And then once we get to the dinosaur stuff, I think that there is a couple major problems here. I'll give you my positives, though. I will say this. Number one is that I think the CGI in this movie actually looks really good for the most part. There's a couple of shots that are a little off, a couple where you can tell there's like a green screen going on. But for the most part, they are filming, it looks like either on sets or on location. They're actually around, you know, a jungle-like environment, so that helps you feel immersed. And then I think a lot of the CGI with the dinosaurs looks fantastic. The T-Rex sequence, that looked great. The D-Rex, the mutated abomination dinosaur that they put in this movie, looks phenomenal. And also, like I said, with Gareth Edwards, like he did with Godzilla 2014, there's a sense of size, scope, and scale that he's able to incorporate that I think works really well. I won't tell you what the shot is, but there is a shot of the D-Rex alongside a helicopter, and you get a real sense of how big this creature is and what it's capable of. And that is a great image. You put that on a poster, that looks great. So all of that is fine. And there are a lot of creative sequences here. With the concept of extracting DNA, they kind of have to go from dinosaur to dinosaur. So you get a good sequence in the ocean with the, I know like all the big dinosaur fans are going to like hate me because I can't remember the names of a lot of these creatures. But the giant dinosaur in the ocean, along with the Spinosaurus stuff, that was all great. That was a great sequence. The, again, I know it's not a pterodactyl, but the flying dinosaur scene, that was done very, very well. So, like, there's all these individual scenes and these individual set pieces, but there's also an issue that comes along with that takes away from my positive, and that is that I feel like this movie was trying very hard to cram in as many dinosaurs as it could. It was really, like, the first 20 minutes, you know, is all story building, humans, character stuff, but then when you get to the island, it really just throws dinosaurs in your face. And this can be a positive or a negative. It's a positive because you get to see a wide variety of dinosaurs, but it's also a negative because none of these sequences, none of these set pieces last long enough for you to really get immersed in them. And I think that's the biggest issue that I had with this. For example, you see the shot in the trailers with the T-Rex chasing down the raft, right? And that's a scene that supposedly comes from the book. I'm going to be reading the book soon all the way through, so I'll be able to review that for you guys. But that's something they wanted to put in, you know, from the get-go. And that sequence is really cool, except it only lasts about 4 minutes, and we don't really have any, what's the word I want to say? We don't have any, like, lasting consequence from it. Like, it happens, and then the characters go on with their lives, and it's never mentioned again. It has no impact in the movie, and it's just forgotten about. And that happens a lot in this film, where you'll see a sequence with dinosaurs, it'll last for a couple of minutes, and then it moves on to the next one. In the original Jurassic Park and in The Lost World, the sequence where the T-Rex shows up is so suspenseful. You know, you get the water rippling, you get the sounds of the T-Rex, you got the rain falling, you look over to see the T-Rex eating the goat. Like I said, my first theater experience as a kid was seeing Jurassic Park, and I will never, never, never forget the moment where Tim reaches out of the van and closes the door, and then as soon as the door closes, the T-Rex just looks right in the window scared the ever-loving shit out of me when I was a kid. And you don't have, like, moments like that here. You don't have these kind of longer, more immersive set pieces. Same thing with, like, the trailer going over the side of the cliff in The Lost World. Like, that is a long, drawn-out, suspenseful scene that you remember. Like, regardless of what you think of that movie, that's the scene you remember. I don't know what scene of this movie I'm gonna remember. A lot of it feels like it's gonna fall out of my memory. I remember it now because I saw the movie 3 hours ago, but ask me a month from now, and I'm probably going to forget because there's so many just little sequences that unfortunately just don't add up to being something memorable. And there's also two other problems with that, in my opinion. Number one is a staple of this franchise from the beginning. They got to throw the little kid in the movie, right? But there's another big staple of the Jurassic Park franchise that's existed from the first one, and that is velociraptors. If you are a raptor fan, I'm just gonna, you might consider this a spoiler, but I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to help you, all right? If you are a raptor fan, you got about 20 seconds of velociraptors in this movie. And the other thing is the D-Rex, the mutated rancor-looking motherfucker, okay? Again, I don't really think that we need mutated different dinosaurs. It could have just been a T-Rex or a Gigantosaurus or a Spinosaurus or whatever, but we got this creature here. It looks cool. There are some great shots including it, and it does some cool stuff. But the problem is, once again, it's barely in the movie. And I think that's because they had to add in all of these dinosaur sequences and have as many dinosaurs as possible that they didn't really build up a big bad. Again, like the original Jurassic Park, the T-Rex shows up multiple times. In Jurassic Park 3, the Spinosaurus is like the main dinosaur threat. In the beginning of this movie, you get a great introduction to the D-Rex, and it sets it up as if it's going to be this massive looming threat. And then you don't see it for like an hour and a half. And when you finally do get it in the climax of the film, it is just underwhelming. Like, it's cool. Like, that's the thing. It's conflicting, right? Like, it's like when it's on screen, it's awesome, but like you can't help but feel let down because you don't get enough of it. You don't get enough buildup. You don't get enough suspense until its reveal. You don't get to see it doing enough things. It just is this really cool looking creature that Gareth Edwards is able to put in some great, fantastic looking shots. But when you really think about what the creature does in the movie and how it affects the characters, it's just kind of there. Overall, I'll say this. I do appreciate the simplicity of this movie. We're not trying to do all the Jurassic World stuff. It's just a team of people going to an island to accomplish a mission. I respect just the simplicity of it, right? At the same time, you interject this family that throws the whole dynamic out of whack and doesn't really add anything. They were really annoying. And I feel like it was just to hit a quota of like, we need to have a family unit. We need to have a kid in this movie, yada, yada. And also all of the characters that do die are completely expendable from the get-go. None of them are surprising. Every character you expect to die does. Every character you think is going to live also does. So at that point, you're expecting some awesome, elaborate set pieces. And they're kind of there, but they're so short that they just don't leave a lasting impact. And I guess that's where I'll leave it, where this movie was fun to look at. The CGI looks great. I think Gareth Edwards is a good director when it comes to filming these creatures, but there's just not enough here with the characters for me to give a shit, and there's not enough memorable moments, memorable scenes that are going to stick in my mind for years to come. I'm probably just going to forget it. And it feels like, again, this movie was probably pumped out so that it can rake in as much money as possible during the holiday weekend. Then we forget about it, but it makes enough money that they'll put another one out in 5 years. But I'll end with this. If they put another one out, I'm going to go see it. So what am I complaining about? Because I do love dinosaurs. But here's my complaint. Why is it only Jurassic Park, Jurassic World that gets to have big dinosaur movies, right? I think it's time, and I think this movie is evidence of this, that people want dinosaurs, but Jurassic World is played out. So we need more variety of dinosaur movies. Let's bring back Carnosaur. Let's do the Carnosaur Legacy sequel, man. Let's make Dino Crisis the movie. Let's make Turok the movie. All right, let's remake Planet of the Dinosaurs, a great 70s movie you guys should watch. I'm just saying, I want more dinosaur media that's not Jurassic Park. Anyways, guys, what do you think of Jurassic World Rebirth? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know all of that down below. Like I said, there are some good things in here. You know, there is definitely fun to be had, but I do find the whole thing to be kind of underwhelming. So let me know what you guys think. Give the video a like and comment. Help it out in the algorithm. Thanks as always for watching, guys. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you next time.